Hi everybody, it's Richard here again and welcome to another video. Now I've been putting this one off for about over a month and a half. I was going to try and get it done before Christmas, but I kept chopping and changing, and this is ranking the albums by Squeeze. Now I have a contest going, and one of the questions was name a band that you think a best of is all you really need, and Squeeze got mentioned a few times. Well, I tend to disagree. And there's one other member of the VC who would definitely disagree, and that's James Griffiths, the author of this book here, Squeeze, the pop music play. James Griffiths, The Story of Squeeze, 1978 to 1982, really their glory years. And if you look in the acknowledgements, yours truly gets a mention in a little paragraph of his own. So I think Squeeze have had really good albums. I'm not saying everyone is absolutely brilliant, but there's nothing there that's really bad apart from one, which is the 2010 album Spot the Difference. Now on Wikipedia it's down as a studio album, but basically it's just re-recordings of all the hits. It's pointless. So I've got 15 albums to rank. I am going to include the Difford Tilbrook album from '84. Because if you really think about it, Squeeze are Difford and Tilbrook, the two songwriters, and Glenn Tilbrook, lead guitarist, Chris Difford, the rhythm guitarist. Glenn sings most of them, and Chris would give his vocals on a few, but not as many as he should have. So, number 15, going straight in, and my least favourite, and as I say, it's not that bad an album. And it's Cradle to the Grave from 2015, I believe. And funny enough, this is their highest charting album at number 12. And the problem I have with this is it's bland. There's nothing really bad off it, but there's nothing exciting. The title track, Cradle to the Grave, it's like a forced, almost gospel type song, which it doesn't really work that well. Nirvana is okay, but yet again there's nothing really there. My favourite song by a mile on this is Top of the Form, which I think is very good, but the rest, it's okay, but nothing spectacular. It does sound a little bit better when you listen to the vinyl than on the CD, but I still would put it at bottom of the pile, I'm afraid. So that's number 15. At number 14 it is the Difford Tilbrook album from 1984. I was nearly going to put it last, but I've been playing all these again and I've been chopping and changing. I'm telling you, it's really tough to work this one out. There's some decent songs on this, like Hope Fell Down, The Apple Tree. Tears for Attention is the best song off this, really good. I've always liked Wagon Train. This is produced by Tony Visconti and the production is not brilliant. It's from 1984 and it makes me think, if Tony Visconti produced David Bowie's Tonight album, would it sound better? Well, on the strength of this, I don't think so. But yeah, it's okay. This got to number 47 in the charts, so it did okay. Nothing brilliant, but Squeeze, they weren't, for some reason, their albums didn't do well at all. As I say, their best was Cradle to the Grave at number 12. That doesn't reflect the sales though, because I'm sure there are other ones that sold a hell of a lot more. But anyway, number 14, Difford Tilbrook. Number 13, and we have from 2017, The Knowledge. Now, before I started listening to all these over again, I would have put this higher, but this one has sort of dropped a little bit. It's not as good as I initially thought it was. Again, there's some decent songs, like Innocence in Paradise is not a bad opener. Albatross is a very good song, but it steals from Tyrannosaurus Rex's Deborah, the start of it, with the bongos as well as the acoustic guitar. Rough Ride's decent, it's a little bit more, it's different. Yeah, this is an improvement on Cradle to the Grave, but I still think it's not that fantastic. It gets my number 13, and I got to number 25 in 2017. This is the biggest surprise for me. I would have had this nearly top 5, but it has fallen down to number 12, and it's 1995's Ridiculous. Now, the problem I have with this is it's too long to start with. There's 14 songs off it. You could have cut 3 or 4 and it would have been a decent album. Also, it's very sterile. Some of the songs are really good, like Heaven Knows I've always loved, This Summer and I Want You, but it is very sterile. It's almost AOR. I'm not going to say it's bland because the songs are strong, but there's something about this that's just too clean, and as a listening experience I'm afraid it falls to number 12 for me. It did get to number 50 in 1995 and I saw them live whenever just before this was actually released, and they played the song I Want You, which I thought was absolutely amazing, and I couldn't wait for this album to come out, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But it's lost a bit for me, and so it falls to number 12. At number 11, and this one has gone up because this used to be right bang at the bottom, and it's Domino from 1998. Now this failed to chart. I think this is different and that's why it gets higher. I really enjoyed this whenever I was playing it again in preparation for this video. I think Play On is a good opener. Bunkers is a great Difford song. It's really excellent. Little King is a really good rocker, and I also like Short Break, the last song, where Difford's almost sort of narrating the song, but it's got a very good chorus. Title track Domino's very good, To Be a Dad's very good. The songs maybe aren't as strong as those on Ridiculous, but I think this sounds better. It's just got a more cohesive, and it's a more rewarding listen than Ridiculous. Maybe if the production was better than Ridiculous it would have gone up, but yeah, I enjoyed this a lot more than I did at the time. I hated this at the time. I thought it was awful, but it's a decent album. So Domino, I always liked that boxer. I used to have a boxer myself, so I love boxer dogs, so that's a big plus as well. So it gets my number 11 from 1998. Okay, number 10 from 1987, and it's Babylon and On, and this is the second album after the return of Jools Holland. It's not a bad album, but I think this sounds a little bit dated. Hourglass is the hit single off this, and it did pretty well in America, I believe. Well, it got a lot of MTV play. The best song off this is the Difford song Striking Matches. There's a couple of bland songs on here like Some Americans, but you get some really good ones like The Waiting Game. Cigarette of a Single Man I think is very good. Trust Me to Open My Mouth is awful. It's just plain awful. Footprints is not bad. The Prisoner is actually quite good, and Who Are You is not a bad song. It's decent, but it's slightly dated in production. Whenever this actually came out I was delighted with the production, because the one beforehand, which is slightly higher now, I thought had awful production, but we'll talk about that when we come to it. So Babylon and On, I got to number 14 in the charts in 1987. Number 9, and it's their debut from 1978, Squeeze. Yeah, good album. It's got Take Me I'm Yours on it. It's got Bang Bang, the single that didn't do that well and didn't get on to the singles 45 and under. Models on here, which is really good. Sex Master's good. Remember What, First Thing Wrong, decent album. Yeah, it's a good debut, but it's not fantastic, but it's still a decent album. I enjoy this. It's produced by John Cale as well, so it gets my number 9. And number 8 from 1985, and this was the album I was talking about, and it's Cozy Fan Tutti Frutti. Yeah, this is produced by Laurie Latham, or Latham, I think it's Latham, and he was the producer of Paul Young, and this just sounds like a Paul Young song. It's sort of got that very bass heavy sound to it, but at the start didn't like it at all. Thought it was awful. I didn't even like the first single, Last Time Forever. I think it was released as a single because there's a big piano intro, and it was like the introduction or the reintroduction of Jools Holland in the band. But I do like the song now. No Place Like Home is one of their best ever songs. I think it's magnificent. Yeah, and you get things like Big Bang, which is good. The one that's most squeezy would be King George Street, which is very good, and I believe they do a country version of that. This is a dated album, but I actually quite like the sound of this now. It's funny, I prefer the sound of this to the one at Babylon and On, which I preferred at the time. But it's a good, strong album, and there's good Jules Holland song on here called Heartbreaking World. So Cozy Fan Tutti Frutti gets my number 9, and it got to number 31 in 1985. Number 7, from 1991, it's Play, and this got to number 41. This has one problem. Every song is sung by Glenn Tilbrook. I like Squeeze whenever there's at least one, preferably two, Glenn Tilbrook or Chris Difford sung songs. But this has got some really good tracks like The Truth, Walk a Straight Line. The Day I Get Home is another one of their top-notch songs. Satisfied with the second single, which is okay. I think it's a good song, maybe not single material. But Sunday Street, which was the opening single, I don't like. It's one of those like attempted gospel-y type songs like Cradle to the Grave, and it doesn't work. And incidentally, the B-sides of it, Mood Swings and Maidstone, are far better and would have served better on this album. But it is a strong album. There's nothing really poor off this apart from Sunday Street. Letting Go's very good. House of Love's good. Yeah, it's a strong album, but I just wish that Chris had some vocals on it, or from some lead vocals. So Play gets my number 7. Number 6 and a number 20 album from 1982. It's Sweets from a Stranger. I bought this when it came out, and I admit I was a little bit disappointed in it, but I think it has improved with age. I think it's a very well produced album. Black Coffee in Bed is fantastic. I really like the opener, Out of Touch, which is something different. Stranger Than the Stranger on the Shore it's just so on Squeeze like, but you do get your Squeeze type songs like I've Returned. His House, Her Home is beautiful with Difford actually singing. He actually does sing in a sort of higher registered voice, and I think he does it really well. Can't Hold On is okay, it's not bad. Points of View is a beautiful song, which would have sat beautifully on East Side Story, but a very, very strong album. As I say, got to number 20 in 1982, so that's Sweets from a Stranger. Okay, the top 5, and my 5th favourite is from 1989, and this is Frank, and it only got to number 58 in the charts. Two really good singles, If It's Love and Love Circles, both failed to chart. Melody Motel, fantastic song. Dr. Jazz, another great song, this one by Jules Holland. This was the last Jules Holland album before he left. In fact, he didn't even make the cover, so there's an empty space where Jules should have been. I wonder why, I don't know. Rose I Said is pretty good. This could be the last time is excellent, as is It's Too Late. She Doesn't Have to Shave is a good song, which is the very first song I heard off this, because I think they played this on Wogan or one of those chat shows. But it's a very strong album, and it's very well produced. It sounds just like the old Squeeze. So Frank gets my number 5. Number 4 from 1983 and a number 26 album. It is Some Fantastic Place, and this is really good. The opener, Everything in the World, I always thought was a poor opener, but it's growing on me. Some Fantastic Place itself is a really good song with a brilliant guitar solo. Third Rail, fantastic Squeeze single, Did Nothing. Loving You Tonight has Paul Carrick on vocals, so he returned for this after East Side Story. It's Over, really good. Talk to Him, very good. Jolly Comes Home is almost like Label of Love Part 2. And then we have True Colours, which was written by, is it Keith Wilkinson? It's a really, really good song. A very, very strong album from 1983, and it gets my number 4, number 26 in the charts. So my number 3 from 1981 and number 19 in the charts is East Side Story. The only issue I have with this, I think it's a little bit too long. I think 2 songs would have been cut and it would have been a better album. I wouldn't have F-hole on this. It's experimental, but it doesn't work. Some people like it, I don't. And I would also have removed There's No Tomorrow from side 1, which is okay, but it's not fantastic. But you get some really great stuff off this, like Someone Else's Heart is brilliant, In Quintessence, Piccadilly, catchy as hell. Is That Love, great single. Labelled with Love, fantastic single. Mumbo Jumbo, another really good song. Yeah, it's a really strong album, and it's most people's favourite. It's just 2 songs I'm not that keen on. So put it this way, this does not fit on one side of a C90 cassette, and that's the tester for me. If an album fits on one side of a C90, it's the correct length. If it goes over it, it's too long. So for me, it's slightly too long. And my number 2 album, and the number 45 album from 1979, and it's Cool for Cats. And this is fantastic. Not a bad song off it. Slap and Tickle, Review. Touching You, Touching Me is about what you think. Or Touching Me, Touching You actually is about what you think. It's not cricket. It's really good. It's so dirty. Some of the lyrics are a little bit risque, but they're all done in fun. And it has the 2 big hit singles, Cool for Cats and Up the Junction, both getting to number 2. But the best song of this is Goodbye Girl, followed by Slightly Drunk, which has got another brilliant solo in it. So excellent album from 79, and that is Cool for Cats, number 45. And my favourite Squeeze album from 1980, and it's Argy Bargy, and 2 magnificent singles, Pulling Muscles from the Shell, which didn't make the top 40, don't understand why, and Another Nail in My Heart, my all-time favourite Squeeze song, and it only made the top 20. But again, there's nothing bad off this. You have Jules Holland's best song, Wrong Side of the Moon. You have Vicky Verky, which is like Up the Junction Part 2. You have There at the Top, which has got a little bit of soul feel to it, which is really good. Misadventure is a good new wave song. Separate Beds has got that piano tinkling in it, which I think is magnificent. And If I Didn't Love You was a single in America. This is such a good album. This is in the top 5 of 1980, and it's my favourite Squeeze album. So Argy Bargy, number 32 in 1980. Okay, that's my ranking of the Squeeze albums, and I can't go with the idea that Squeeze are only a singles band. You know, their albums are really good. They didn't have very much success with those albums, but they're really strong, and they never really had a totally bad album. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope to have another video quite soon. All the best now. Bye bye.